America's most beloved desserts. Yet, so many people are scared to make it. Too many ingredients, time consuming. Well, today on Simply Elegant, I am going to show you how to make a beloved apple pie that is not only simple, but very elegant. A traditional crust has 6 ingredients: flour, sugar, salt, butter, shortening, and ice cold water. To start off, we are going to place 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour into the food processor. Yep, my counter is getting dirty. The baking is messy. That's 2 cups and 1 more half cup. Okay, we have 2.5 cups of flour there. Move this. We need 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. Right into the food processor. We need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I have a 1/4 teaspoon measurement here. So we have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. There we go. We are going to blend this just to mix all of the ingredients together. Butter and shortening, remember to keep them as cold as possible. In fact, I recommend putting it into the freezer maybe 5 or 10 minutes before you start the crust. The reason being, if you keep it nice and cold, it'll make the crust a lot more flaky. So, we need a cup or a stick and 1/4 of butter. So what I usually do is cut the butter into 4ths. And then cut it into little cubes. It's a little bit harder to cut, but it'll be a lot more worth it when you taste that nice flaky crust. Okay, good, pause it. Okay, I have my butter cubed up. So I'm going to place that into the food processor. Next, I'm going to get 1/3 of a cup of shortening. Same thing with the shortening, I'm going to cube it up. Now freeze. Okay, now place the vegetable shortening into the food processor as well. And we are going to add 6 tablespoons of ice cold water to start off. Remember, it has to be ice cold so the crust can be more flaky. 5 and 6. And pulse it. You want to pulse it until you see a nice consistency and nice little pieces of butter and shortening throughout the flour mixture. If you look closely, you can still see a lot of butter and flour, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. Just add a few more tablespoons at a time until a dough starts to form. There you go. You see a bunch of little crumbles. This means that the dough is ready. Okay, now that our dough is ready, we're going to flour our countertop and get to shaping the dough. This dough needs to be chilled for 2 hours, so we are simply going to form it into the dough. And separate it into 2 equal pieces. If it's a little sticky, just add a little bit more flour. You want to mix it just a little bit. Then using a pastry knife, cut it in half. Add a little more flour to each one. Cool. And just wrap it in a little bit of plastic. When we get back, I'm going to show you guys how to create the apple pie filling. Welcome back to Simply Elegant. Today I am preparing for you guys America's favorite apple pie. We already have the crust chilling in the fridge, and now we are going to get started on the apple pie filling. To start the filling, we need 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar. To the sugar, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and make sure you guys pack it. To that, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So we have 1, 2, and 3. To that, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Make sure you guys roll the lemon with your palm to release all of the juices. Then give it a cut. Squeeze upside up so any of the seeds do not get into the bowl. Okay, there's 1/2 tablespoon. Okay, and there's about another 1/2 tablespoon. So, to that we are going to add 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. So just zest it right into the bowl. Be careful not to zest too much into the white part. You only want the yellow, because the white part is very bitter. Okay. Now we are going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. We'll just do 1/2 of this. There we go. Last but not least, we need to mix all of this together. Now that we have the dry ingredients together, we just have to cut, peel, and core some apples. I already washed these apples, so all that's left to do is peel them and cut away. Welcome back. I am finishing up the last apple, coring it, and chopping it up. That's probably the hardest part of making the apple pie is peeling and chopping all of the apples, but let me tell you, it'll be well worth it when we eat some of that flaky apple pie. Oops, just a piece there. Awesome. So now, remember in here we had half a cup of regular sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of flour, a tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of zest, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to toss the apples in there and just let it sit for a little bit. Awesome. We're going to let this sit for a little bit while the dough is finished chilling in the refrigerator, and when we get back, we are going to make some apple pie. Hello, and welcome back to Simply Elegant. Today I am preparing for you homemade apple pie. So here we have our apple pie filling that we had lemon zest, lemon juice, nutmeg, sugar, brown sugar, and a little bit of flour, and 3 pounds of apples. It's just been sitting there. It smells delicious. We made our dough and chilled it in the fridge for 2 hours. So now it's ready to be rolled out into our pan. So, first thing is first, you want to flour your work surface, just so nothing sticks. You also want to flour your rolling pin, just to ensure that nothing is sticking. Then, you want to roll this to about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Needs a little bit more flour. Okay, so we got our dough into the pie sheet. It's okay if you guys have excess dough hanging over the edge, just tuck it underneath. So just take it and tuck it. I don't know about you guys, but I personally love pie crusts. It's actually one of my favorite parts of a pie. And it's okay if it looks a little messy. It'll just look that much more homemade. A little bit too much there. Okay, it's looking good. Oh, and don't forget, guys, to spray your pie sheet or your pie pan with non-stick cooking spray. So there's our crust. We're going to set this aside for a minute while I show you guys how to create the design, my favorite part. So, make sure that you guys are flouring your counter or your work surface, just so your dough doesn't stick to anything. And you're gonna wanna roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch thickness. Okay, once you get it really thin, which that looks pretty good, maybe I'll make it a little bit thinner. Once you get it thin, look at these beauties. These are fondant cutters. So if you're familiar with making fondant, basically this is used to cut out shapes. It's a cutout. You can find these at your local fabric store or even online for really cheap. I think I paid like $1.99 for 4 of these. But basically, you punch a little shape in there, and you have a flower shape right there. Do another one. And then you can even do like a miniature one. And then put it on top of the bigger one. And you'll have created a nice little flower. Now that's going to be for the border or the crust on the outside of the cake or the pie. We're making pie. Next, I also want to show you guys how to make beautiful little braids. So, with my pastry knife, I am going to cut a few lines. I would say about 1/2 inch or so. Okay, so taking these, so I'll take 3 to make a braid. So 1, 2, and 3. Now taking that, we are going to create a braid. So basically take the 3 pieces of dough, make it into one at the top, and then you're going to take the middle piece and put it over the right piece. Then take the middle piece and put it over the left piece. Take the middle over the right, middle over the left, middle over the right, then middle over the left. And you're gonna start to see a braid pattern. Then at the end, just tie it together. Now, oops, we are going to, running out of counter space, put our filling into the crust so we can start to decorate it. Remember, this was 3 pounds of apples, some lemon juice, some sugar, brown sugar, and lemon zest, and a pinch of nutmeg. Some people like slicing their apples. I personally like it diced into smaller pieces. It tastes a lot sweeter to me that way. And then we can put our braid on top. Our beautiful little braid. And just sort of tuck it into the crust. Okay guys, I'm going to make a few more braids to cover the rest of it. And then we're going to cover the edge with some egg wash and then put our flowers over it. So now I'm going to crack an egg, poke the yolk, whisk it, and we're going to brush the edges with some yolk. This is to help the flowers stay onto the crust. And also it'll make it a nice golden brown color. You can think of it as like a glue that turns brown. Makes it a nice golden color. You can even do the top of your braids if you'd like. Speaking of which, I think the braids turned out really nice. Okay, so I already cut out a few flowers, as you can see here. So I'm just going to place them like that. Okay, so as you guys can see, I finished the pie Looks beautiful, almost too beautiful to eat. Anyways, this is going to bake at 375 for about an hour and 20 minutes or so, but just make sure you keep an eye on it so the crust doesn't burn. If you notice that it's starting to turn a dark brown, just wrap some foil around it and it'll stop it from browning. Welcome back to Simply Elegant. Look at our pie. Look at this. Nice golden brown color because of the egg. It's been cooking for about an hour and 10 minutes or so. But guys, I am ready to dig in. So let's try this. Get some of the crust, my favorite part. This would be good with ice cream. Nice and sweet. The crust, it's really good, guys. You can use that crust for any pie recipe and it would be amazing. The apples are nice and tender, a little sweet, which I like. So thank you guys for joining me on my cooking adventure. It was a fun experience and I hope that you guys find this a fun experience as well when you try it. This is a fun activity to do with little kids. It helps them count and measure and all those wonderful things. So thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate all of the support that you've been giving me. And thank you. I'll see you soon.